And yeah, I don't think that's just Fiji. I think everyone in the Pacific Islands does that, but it's great to see that, especially this day and age, because I think that's also a way of like preserving the different traditions that each culture has. So just being brought up in that space, in that atmosphere, going with my mom to these different meetings that all our relatives had, or like the different functions that we would hold, and just maintaining those relationships with my relatives as I, started from a kid and to now when I'm older.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to this podcast, and it's called Inside the PAC. And I'm your host, Starr. And as always, with me every freaking week, Miss Kaleo in the building. What's up?
What's up?
How we doing? How we doing? How's the weekend going so far?
Oh, starting off as a banger, you know?
Oh, it's
Loving
a banger. Oh,
As a banger.
okay. Oh, man. Hey, as long as I start off with a banger, and actually, I did the Super Bowl this weekend.
Yeah.
I don't know who I want to win, to be honest.
I don't care. Honestly, I don't care for either team, so I don't care. I don't care. I'll still watch it just because, it's a Super Bowl. Who doesn't watch the Super Bowl?
All right.
I'm just kidding. I know a lot of people don't, but like, hello, sports.
Yeah, a lot of people watch it just to watch the halftime show.
The halftime show and the commercials once upon a time, but I feel like the commercials even nowadays are not as good as they used to be.
Yeah, they kind of died down.
It's sad. Like, I used to love the commercials.
Right. No, exactly. You know who did really well with commercials over the past decade or so was Doritos. They
Yeah, because they got like the outside world involved, and whoever had the best commercial. Yeah, no, I remember those days.
Yeah, Doritos, Pepsi was like those, the big brands. They made really good commercials, but
yeah,
now it's kind of, I don't know. Or even Geico, like all the big brands, right? But we here with another week, another episode, and this is, I believe, episode 39. 39, yeah, episode 39. Sheesh.
crazy.
We're making it, and I think maybe we should do something for 50. 50 episodes. What do you think? 50 episodes, and then because I know a lot of people do it at like 100, but we're not that big, so 50 is kind of a big deal for us,
Yeah.
Shoot, even 40. I mean, we're almost there. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, thank you guys for coming through, watching the episode, or listening. If you guys are on YouTube, please subscribe to the channel. All that shebang, right? If you guys are on Spotify, go ahead and rate the show, because it definitely helps us. And what they say, the algorithm and all that stuff, it kind of boosts our, I guess, it pushes it out to more people because we're getting good star rating and stuff. But this we just get into the little logistics real quick before we bring our special guest in. And yes, we have a special guest, and we can't wait for this guest to join us so that we can get to know her a little bit. Kind of just gave you a hint that it's a her. So this podcast is hint. This podcast is brought to you by Pasifikaveco Company, as you can see, wearing the gear. But Pasifikaveco Company is a brand and movement fostering unity within the diverse cultures of Polynesia, Melanesia, and Micronesia, celebrating their collective shared heritage and promoting our connection while educating the global community about our rich and diverse cultures. This podcast is also sponsored by Okoa Ohana. Okoa Ohana is a Hawaii clothing brand based out of Las Vegas, and their designs are inspired by Hawaii food, dishes, spam mushibis, ramen noodles, anything that you can think of, any plate lunches. It's weird. A lot of people don't know, not too much people know the term plate lunch. Like
which is crazy to me. Like, to me, it's just a normal thing.
Yeah, right. But yeah, their clothing brand is inspired by Hawaii food dishes, and their whole mantra or aura of what the company's about is kind of like a restaurant. Everything is packaged in a plate lunch box or a takeaway box, you want to call it. in the plastic bag, like exactly how like a restaurant would be, just with clothing. So it's pretty cool. Check out their website
It's
at
takeout clothing.
take out clothing. Exactly. But if you guys want to check out their merch, go to okoahana.com and use our discount code PacificAv15. So go get that deal. I didn't even mention Pacific Av's website. Yeah, check out Pacific Ave Company at pacificavco.com. So without further ado, are we ready to bring in our guest?
Oh, heck yeah. I'm ready.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. So as I bring her in, give me 1 second. We're gonna take a pause for like 5 seconds. There you go. Get that out.
Yeah, thank you. I was about to mute.
So today we are thrilled to welcome Miss Va Draunidalo, and as I bring her in, who is a former athlete at Virginia State University. Va brings a unique perspective to the table with her experience in sports, coupled with a professional expertise in advertising and her passion for travel. So, Va, thank you so much for joining us today. How are we feeling?
We're feeling good. The sun's out, so I can't complain. But I want to thank y'all for even bringing me on. I'm excited. I love the work that y'all are doing. So yeah, thanks again for bringing me.
Appreciate it. So, I was literally gonna thank you again, but I keep repeating myself because I feel like it's like
Thank you.
right,
Thank you.
exactly.
Thank you.
I tend to do that a lot. I start repeating myself, but I think it's because it's like a buffer of like, okay, what's next? And so I keep repeating what I'm saying while I'm trying to look.
That's your buffer wheel.
Yeah, that's
Thank you. Thank you.
hey, everybody's got a buffer wheel, and if it's either thinking, or you're saying something, or you're physically doing something, that's just what it is, right? And that's kind of what I'm doing right now. But let's just get right into it, and we're gonna start off the show. Actually, you know what, Va, why don't you just give us like a little brief intro of who you are, your name again, where you're from, where you grew up, and where you're living at now, what you doing.
Okay. Yep. So my name is Andi Valiseva Vundidra Lois Draunidalo. I am of native Fijian descent. So I'm from Motoriki, Lomaiviti, Vasu Onailao, and I currently live in Northern California. I would say the North Bay, but depending on who you talk with, I guess, I don't know if they'd consider Santa Rosa the Bay, but geographically it is North Bay. Yep, now I reside here in Northern California, and I currently work for an advertising agency.
Nice. What are you allowed to disclose what advertising agency?
Yeah, so I work for Goodby Silverstein and Partners. So we're based in San Francisco, and you had actually mentioned one of our clients. So Doritos is actually one of our clients. So when you guys were talking about it, I was in the back. I was like, oh my gosh, they're talking about like one of our clients. So yeah, I'm gonna relay that to the Doritos team. Let them know that the work they're doing is good. Yeah, we have like a huge range of clients that we work with.
Doritos.
I see, Starr.
Doritos. We are open for sponsorships. No, the podcast and the brand, the Pacific Ave. Anyways, we'll talk more. Okay, Va.
Okay.
Oh my God. Bringing that culture together with that cool ranch.
Hey. Okay. Brought to you by.
Okay, moving on.
Yeah, moving on. Hey, so I know you said you've watched a few of our episodes, so you kind of know what's coming up. So we got the questions roulette.
Yes.
You ready for that?
Yes.
Okay, these ones.
Oh, I was gonna say, I think this might be the first episode you have where we're able to get them under a minute. That's what I was telling myself. I was like, I'm gonna answer all of these under a minute.
Oh, snap. Okay, well, they're definitely longer questions, so I can't read that fast.
You're good.
We're a little extra today. So anyways, okay. Do things under a minute. All right. Okay. Nope.
Okay.
Okay, so TV series or movies?
Movies.
Stuffed crust pizza or thin crust pizza?
And crust.
Okay. Comedy or drama movies?
Drama.
Okay. Live without internet access or without air conditioning or heat?
Live without internet access.
Wow.
Yeah, okay, I could actually see that. Anyways, moving on. Travel the world but never go back to where you already visited, or stay in one place but never travel again?
The first option, travel the world.
Travel the world
and
but never go
yeah.
back to where you've already been? I agree. Be able to breathe underwater or breathe in outer space?
Breathe underwater.
Heck yeah. Like, what kind of question is that, Star?
Hey, it was
Jeez.
just a question.
Nike or Adidas?
Nike. Sorry.
Nike. Apologize first or wait for someone to say sorry to you?
Man, it depends on the situation. I am very headstrong. If I don't think I was in the wrong, I'm not going to apologize first. But I know when I need to apologize. But I know when I need to apologize, so I will. But it depends on the situation.
Gotcha. So if you know you're in the wrong, you will apologize first.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Gotcha. See,
if I
all
wasn't,
situational, Star. Be the most popular in school or the smartest in school?
oh, smartest.
Heck yeah. Go to sleep with the lights off or lights on?
It's off.
Yeah. Yeah. Who would win? The 17 Golden State Warriors with Steph Curry or the 95 Chicago Bulls with MJ?
The Warriors.
Wow.
Boys.
Sure.
I was like, I instantly looked over to Star and like, oh.
Wow. You know, it's hard. That question is hard because
That one is a hard one, I think, too.
and it's not because one is better than the other, right? You know, it's generational teams, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because like the game now is so different from what it was. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's I think that's with every sport really, because people like to compare NFL players. I'm like, it's kind of hard to compare.
Yeah.
It is hard, especially if you're taking like a much old like if this, for example, like Curry and MJ, like come on now, that like those are way separated for me in my mind. I grew up with MJ.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
That's like my GOAT is gonna be Kobe Bryant because that's who I grew up watching.
Mm-hmm.
So it's funny whenever those conversations happen because just off rip, I'll be like, no, it's Kobe, it's Kobe. But then you know those who did grow up with Jordan, they're gonna ride for Jordan because that's who they saw, and and he was also at his prime back then too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So
those are also the questions too, where it's like, okay, so this person in their prime, or like, because we talked about it too when we did the whole Sylvester Stallone and Arnold. Like
Yeah.
like it's all situational.
No,
True.
for sure, but sports.
Well,
is
it wasn't a minute,
whole
but we
thing.
did really good.
Okay.
I mean, it did go by pretty fast, to be honest.
It did. To
I
be
was
honest,
gonna say, yeah, I felt like I flew through that. I lucky felt like I was on Family Feud. You know that when they do that last round.
Yeah.
So that's how I was envisioning it.
Well, that's why I made this, because I wanted something like Fast Money, like in the Family Feud. I wanted to do something like that, but I was like, hey, what do I call it? And this other podcast that I watched, Ben Roethlisberger's podcast. Shout out Ben. He calls it the 2-minute drill, but they do it for 2 minutes.
Oh.
They do it call it 2-minute drill because it's like a term in football or whatever. So they did it. So I was like, frick, I don't want to, like, what do I call it? So I was like, it's kind of like a roulette of questions. So I came up with questions roulette, I guess.
Yeah. No, I like the question roulette name. Yeah. You should keep that.
Yeah. Trademark.
Oh, yeah. We'll always keep that one.
Yeah.
It's the one must go that I don't like.
Yeah. And honestly, I didn't make one. But while we're talking, I'm going to be making one. So, you know what the movies, the comedy or drama, I was going to put sports in there instead of drama but I was like, she might choose a sport, so let me put a different genre.
That would have been that would have been an easy one. That probably would have saved me some time.
You spend a lot of time on apologizing.
Well, but I mean, think about it though. It is very situational. Like a strong person, if they know they're in the wrong, they should always be willing to apologize first. If they know they're in the wrong and they're strong enough. Some people are just petty as flippers.
Yeah.
And we'll just be like, I know I'm wrong, but I'm going to make them apologize first because they got me all heated.
Yeah.
I won't lie. I'm like that sometimes. It's fine.
Yeah.
Usually when I know I'm in the wrong, I realize it within like minutes of doing whatever I did. And then that's when she's like, oh my gosh, like you were wrong for that, Va. And then like I'll quickly apologize. Unless it's like super heated, then, you know, after I cooled off or whatever, and like I thought about it and like, dang, yeah, you were wrong for that. And,
it's the cool off period sometimes, you know, like that's why like even during like heated arguments, I'm like, I need to step away before I say or do something that I'm gonna have to apologize for.
Yeah. Okay.
So
looking back on that, I don't get into a lot of arguments or altercations or no, because I'm just thinking about like, dang, people watching probably like, dang, Mama's get into a lot of arguments.
And she chose drama movies. So she get into drama a lot.
She chose drama because she doesn't have a lot of drama in her life, so she needs it from somewhere.
Do you really need drama though?
Hey, look, everybody needs a little drama in their life to get that wheel turning of like, oh, okay. So if like something like this was to happen, this is what, you know, like it's sometimes that's how you process things. You experience things. And if you're not getting that kind of stuff in your life, then you're processing it through watching other people, whether it's a movie or actual real life.
Oh, you know, a lot of people are hypocrites though.
Sorry.
A lot of people are hypocrites though, right? They see all these movies and then they're all like, really so stupid, so dumb, they're doing this, whatever, and then they go do the same thing. I'm just saying.
Yeah, those are people that are just
dumb.
Special.
That's true.
Wait, so
go
ahead.
No, I was gonna say when I had said drama, like I was thinking Law and Order, you know, the Real Housewives, that kind of drama. Because when I watch it, I think it's funny. So I guess like those kinds of dramas are comedies to me. Well, Real Housewives, not Law and Order.
that like Real Housewives stuff, that's like over the top.
It's crazy.
It's funny.
Like, it's funny.
Exactly.
It's a lot of it is staged. A lot of it, not all of it.
Oh yeah,
a lot of it.
Yeah, and I just realized that recently, like just like these last couple years. I didn't know it was staged. I really thought like these women were crazy.
I was like, there's really people in the world that are like this? Really? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh, no, there's absolutely people in the world like that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. What got me was like their outfits, how extravagant their outfits are, even just like going out to lunch.
Yeah.
Like, dang.
Like you would really wear that. Or the guy would let, you know, not just in that show, but the guy would let their other half wear what they wear. I'm like, really?
Yeah.
I don't understand.
Okay, first of all.
What?
No one is going to tell me what I can and cannot wear. Okay?
Yeah, but there's a fine line.
You just said what you said. Own it. No.
No, I own it. I'm saying there's a... I'm saying, hold on. I'm saying there's a fine line when you are married or when you made a commitment to another person, right? There's a fine line, right? What is the purpose of you wearing booty Judy shorts or showing a bunch of cooch or whatever it is, right?
Did they wear those before? Did they wear those when they first got together? Then why should they have to change?
But you wear it, right? You wear it to attract another person, right? And when you attract another person,
for some people, it's what makes them feel good.
That's just an excuse. Anyways, when you attract another person, when you attract your lover for life, right, or you know whatever you want to call it, right? what's the point of you keep doing that if you got the person that you were trying to attract in the first place?
It's just like wearing makeup. If it makes you feel good for you, then why do you have to change that for anybody? It's not that you're necessarily trying to attract somebody. It's because it's something that makes you feel good about you.
But and I understand that, right? But I'm going back to that fine line of when you get married, right? When you get married, like, if you keep doing that, other guys or other women are gonna try to pursue you.
I'm just going to say, if it's somebody that you feel as though you're not comfortable with and they're not strong in your bond with people together, then hey, yeah, you're going to have problems. I'm just saying, let your spouse be your spouse and do what they want to do. That you should be knowing that they are not going to step out on you just because they wear something a certain way.
I
That's all I'm
mean,
saying. You should have a strong enough bond and connection together to understand that that's what it is.
you're not wrong. You're not wrong. I'm just, I'm trying
I
to,
know I'm not wrong, Starr. Thank you.
and I mean, I'm not wrong either.
Okay, so anyway, back to it. We
Yeah,
totally just went off on a
that's
rant there.
fine. That's
My
fine.
bad.
That's
No,
fine.
you're good. I was gonna say there's points being made on both ends. I think it just boils down to whoever it is and whoever is in the relationship. But y'all both have great points.
I mean, I agree. It should be something that's discussed between the two, if
Yeah.
it's like,
Yeah.
hey,
Yeah.
baby, we're together now, like pull back a little bit on this.
Yeah.
Because that's
Yeah.
that to me is it's precious to me. Meet
Mhm.
halfway. Don't necessarily change the person.
Yeah, for
Meet
sure.
halfway.
That's what I was trying to get at, but sometimes I can't get the words out. So, but let's go back in and let's talk more about the Fijian culture, because Va,
Yes.
you are our first Melanesian on the podcast. So
Okay.
we do want to get to learn a little bit more about the Fijian culture, just a little bit, and then talk about your journey, as a Fijian athlete or Melanesian, or Pacific Islander athlete, right? If we want to put it that way. So, like, first question for you, right? So what are some of the most cherished cultural traditions or practices from Fiji that hold a special significance for you, as you go through the journey of your life?
Yeah. I don't think this is specific to just Fiji. I feel like every Pacific Island country does this, but I love how close knit the different villages are with one another. So I grew up here in the States, and my mom's village is very close knit. They have a very close knit community out here in California. Every other month they'll have a lotu together, which is a church, and then they'll just meet up every other month and try and have like some sort of like fundraising, and then they send the money back to their village back in Fiji. But then you also see the same thing in Fiji as well on the main island, or Viti level, which is one of the bigger islands in Fiji. You still see that village community on the main island. They're fundraising and they're still sending money back to the village, back in Ono. And it's not even just my mom's village specifically. Each village, their community is very close knit. And yeah, I don't think that's just Fiji. I think everyone in the Pacific Islands does that, but it's great to see that, especially this day and age, because I think that's also a way of like preserving the different traditions that each culture has. So just being brought up in that space, in that atmosphere of going with my mom to these different meetings that all our relatives had, or like the different functions that we would hold, and just maintaining those relationships with my relatives as I started from a kid and to now when I'm older. Just last week they had like a gathering, and that's being brought up in that's something like I want my kids one day to also experience.
Right.
Just knowing that, like, hey, you're gonna always have this village, no matter where you go.
It's crazy you brought that up, and you first mentioned that you don't think that it's just a Fijian culture. You think it's all over the place. And the first thing that I thought about was, I think a couple of the Samoans that we brought on, they they basically explained it as being family oriented. And
Hmm.
that's exactly kind of what you're saying about how the whole village, it may not necessarily be that first line of lineage, but the whole village in that, of all the people in there are doing it for the village, right? For the big
Yeah.
family, basically. So
Yeah.
that's pretty
And
cool.
that,
It's pretty common or similar throughout pretty much all the islands, like what you said.
yeah. And I know, like, growing up as well, my mom always talked about like how important it is to know who your family is and who you're related to, because you never know who's going to need help one day, or you just never know. So that was one thing she always stressed, just like knowing your family tree, um, and just knowing how everyone's connected.
Right, right. It's always good to know, like just to know where you came from. You know what I mean? And we
Exactly.
we 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 as in Pacific or Pacifica, we take pride of where we come from. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And with any island, we're all three of us is all from three different islands, and we all feel the same.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's just like how oh God. So how would you say that your Fijian heritage has influenced your identity and the way you've navigated through the world, and particularly like in your personal and professional life? Because I know for me it's probably different than it is for you because of how I was raised.
Hmm. Um, it's influenced it by like knowing I might be the only Fijian person that someone meets. So I take that with pride. If I ever get a chance to talk about my culture, my heritage, I definitely take up that space. Like, hey, yes, I am a proud Fijian. This is where Fiji's located. If you ever get the chance, go visit Fiji. So it's just, even if you're given like the smallest space, still take it up. Because I know that's what I do. But yeah, I just try to um, educate those who may not be aware of Fiji, but then also too, like, hey, there's other countries in the South Pacific, like there's Tonga, there's Samoa, Tahiti. So I guess you could say it's like you're just planting the seed. Like, yeah, Fiji's here, but there's literally hundreds of other countries that are located in this part of the ocean.
Like dipping
Um,
your toe in the water. Like
yeah,
this is just the start.
yeah, exactly. And I experienced that a lot in college. My junior year and senior year, I went to school in South Carolina and Virginia. And there's not a lot of islanders out there.
Yeah.
So this is like around the time like Moana came out. So when people would be like, yeah, like what are you, Va? I'd be like, have you seen Moana? Like, yeah, I've seen Moana. And I'd be like, that's my cousin. Like, I am Moana, Moana is me. But then like just something is like silly as that, it would then just open up other conversations like, oh, like what's Moana? And I'm just, then, oh, well, she's Pacific Islander. And then, it would just be like a conversation that would continue like throughout the year. But then that's also me like educating like my friends, like, hey, there's the whole South Pacific, and
Yeah.
yeah, you don't see a lot of that community out here on this side of the country, but we're here.
Yeah, we're definitely here.
Yeah.
I wanted to bring up because we've talked before, and you were
Hmm.
talking about visiting back home to the islands of Fiji, and you were talking about visiting your mom's village, and I thought it was super super interesting and cool. You talking about that experience. So could you share that experience for you and how that felt and what was going through your mind and what you were. I know. I think you were telling me you were like you were given a different perspective on kind of I guess life in general. As
Yeah.
as you visited your mom's village. So
Yeah. So growing up, my mom would always send my brother and I to Fiji like every 2 years or so. But when we would go to Fiji, it would just be on the main island of Viti. So that's like where the capital is. That's where the international airport is. And I guess you could say it's like a modern Fiji. So we would always go back to Fiji, but it was always like, the modern side of Fiji. And it wasn't until it was 2022. That's when we went. We went to my mom's island of Onoilao. And Onoilao is in the southern Lao group. It's actually closer to Tonga than it is Viti Levu. And we took like this big inter island ship with like, I think there was like, it was supposed to be 250 people, I think, but I think it was closer to 300. At least that's what it felt like. And we went on we went from Viti Levu or Suva straight to Ono. And that was like an 18-hour boat ride. So just riding the boat there was an experience of its own. But yeah, once we got to the island, Ono, unlike the other islands in the Lao group, it doesn't have a wharf. So you have to, they like park the ship out in like the deep blue, and then the little fiberglass boats come up to the big boat, and then you hop off the ship into the little boats, and then you ride into the island of Ono. And just, again, that's also a separate experience, just, you know, timing the waves just to get off the boat, jump into a little boat.
I was about to say, you jump into water and then go to the boat, or you just jump right into the boat?
No, they bring like the fiberglass boat right up next to the ship.
I was about to say, like, dang.
Yeah. Oh, no.
Well, dang, they dump in right in the water.
No, but I like it. The thing with that is, like, you know, it could happen, you know, if it isn't timed right, it could happen. But yeah, we got in the boat, went to the island, spent 2 weeks there. So this is where like my mom's dad's from and my mom's mom. So they, you know, they were brought up on this island, and it was just crazy how far the journey was to get there. And then when you're there, you look around and it's like you're literally like in the middle of the ocean. Like, I mean, Fiji, you're in the middle of the ocean, but like in Ono, it was different because like, you know, to get Wi-Fi, you know, you have to go up a hill, and there isn't like showers. Well, like showers as in like, you know, the water's coming from the shower. You have to go fill up your bucket, and
right.
It's literally like, you know, the village.
Literally old school way, like, you know, back when there's no technology, no infrastructure.
Yeah. And it's funny because it's the village, but everything they have in the village is just like they have what they need. There's nothing like extra. What's there is like, you know, the necessities.
Right. I think the Hawaiians call it living off the land.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's funny because they actually have an ATM machine.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And they do have like a post office. And then they have like a general store. But like, you know, that just goes back to what I was saying earlier. Like they have the things that they need, and that's it. They have like a small clinic, and they do have a nurse, but the nurse that's staying out there, I think they're sent out like on a contract or something. Like they're out there for a couple months, and then they
will switch off or something.
Else.
I was about to say. Yeah. I was about to say. I'm sure they should have at least, you know, that one nurse, you know, the whole time.
Yeah. No, it's a contract base, but yeah, no, it was great to see. You know, I talked earlier about like the village that I grew up here in the States, but it was just great to see like that village in real time. Like, hey, this is my village. Like, these are the people that I grew up with. Like
actually in the essence of the village, right?
Yeah. And it was cool too, just hearing like, you know, the different stories from like my great-great-grandparents. We actually went and visited like the graves of those who had passed when my mom was gone, like when she was gone from Ono. And it was just crazy just seeing like the different generations that come from Ono. And like, again, it's just like this small little island group that's literally in the middle of nowhere. And it's just amazing to see all the history that comes from it too.
Right. I remember you was telling me about, because I never knew this. My wife did, but I didn't know that. Just in your guys' name, you know, people, your other Fijians can know exactly what village that you guys from just from the name, right? And you were talking about
Yeah.
that with your it's the father's name, right?
Yeah. So most names you can like tell where they're from. So like my name, for example, it's funny because when I tell people I'm Fijian, I tell them I'm from Ono. But in the Fijian culture, like you're from where your dad's from. So like when I tell people my name, they're like, wait,
You're
that
not
name
from
doesn't
Ono.
sound yeah. And then then they'll be like, okay, like where's your dad from? And then I'm like, dang, they got me.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, like you can also tell in the names. I know like there's an ongoing joke with Lawans, like their names are just unnecessarily long. So if like someone had, I think it's like their middle name or something. Um, it's funny with Lawan names, because some of the names come from like stories that happen in different people's lives. So like whatever event that happens, they'll just name someone after that event. And I think that's like a Lawan thing. So when people hear that, they can, if they hear like an event name, I guess you can say as
Right.
someone's name, they'd be like, "Oh, are you from Laos?"
Right.
Yeah.
What is what are the different areas of Fiji, right? Just for those who are listening that's not really familiar, because you would say you said Fiji, you said a different island or a different village, and then now you're saying Lawan. So just like a little brief, like what are the different areas, kind of?
Yeah. So Fiji is like divided up into the different provinces. Now, I might be considered like a bad Fijian for this, but I'm not familiar with all the provinces. But yeah, Fiji is divided up into provinces, and then like you have your two main, like your two biggest islands, I guess you can say, and that's like Viti Levu.
Hmm.
That's where like Nandi and Suva are, and then you have Vanua Levu. I've never been there before, but I know like I think it's the second biggest island in Fiji. Um, but then like you have your two main islands, but then you also have like your smaller islands throughout. Like the Fiji is consisted of like 300 islands, and over like 100 of them are inhabited. So there's tons of villages in that fall under like the different provinces that Fiji split up into.
That's pretty cool. I keep telling everybody that the Pacific Islands, there's like 2,500 plus islands.
Mhm.
They're all not inhabited, but they're all a part of it, right?
Yeah.
So that's just a small little example. Like even Hawaii. Hawaii has I think two other islands that are not officially named yet, or they have names, but it's not like, I don't know how to explain it.
Commonly known.
Commonly known. I mean, it's not inhabited, but they named those like small islands because it's like too small, but it's like part of the Hawaiian Islands chain. So
Mhm.
it's yeah. There's just there's a bunch of different islands. But yeah.
Yeah. And it's funny too because you'll see like other like Tonga, you'll see the blanking on the word, but you'll see the influence of Tonga over like the Lawan group. So that just also like goes back to like how the Pacific is all connected in like some shape or form.
Mm-hmm.
I think I had mentioned this to you earlier when I went to my mom's village. There was one pulotu that we went to, and like they were singing in Tongan. And then I remember, like I was sitting by my mom, and I was like, "Ah, that's not Fijian." I was like, "What are they singing in?" She's like, "Tongan." I was like, "Tongan." And then just this recent trip to Fiji, I went to church, and they were also singing in Tongan, and it was funny because my cousin had told me like, "Oh, come, like we'll sing." I was like, "Okay," and then he gave me like this page with lyrics, and it was in Tongan, and I was like, "Dang, like I'm still learning Fijian. I have to, have to learn Tongan now. Like you're crazy." I have let me learn one language at a time.
Yeah.
But see, that's also just another thing too. Like my mom's village is still like practicing or like has some practices that are in Tongan, and that just goes back to like their history with Tonga.
Yeah, it's pretty cool how like you could see in real time the connection between the different islands, the different cultures. You
Yes.
know, because I mean, I learned a lot that Hawaiians and Maoris are almost almost exactly alike. You know, just on
Yes.
different ends of the Polynesian Triangle, and then learning from you about how Tongans was really closely, almost closely related to the Fijians, and I didn't even know that until we talked that first time.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
didn't either.
Yeah, so it's
Yeah.
pretty cool to actually see or know, you know, more of the history, basically.
Yeah. And it's just crazy too. Like, wait, what? Like,
Yeah, it's like
if you read it.
it's the realization, right? This whole time, you know, in our generation, this
Yeah.
whole time we're growing up like, oh, you know, our culture, and not realizing, um, that we're so connected with everybody else. Like we forgot
Yeah.
about our cousins across the ocean. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So just kind of like this whole journey in the podcast and the company and all that stuff. And Kalea, I know you can agree too, but just meeting all the different peoples from the different islands, like seeing the connection with everybody. It's like I'm kind of at awe with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh, complete awe, and just like it just strengthens what we already are pushing for.
Right.
Like just the more people we meet, the more people we talk to, it's just holy crap.
Yeah.
We really are truly connected in so many ways, but we refuse to see it as an overall.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you know, my mom brought up a good point, and I don't know if she's gonna, you know, get mad at me for bringing it up because we were just talking about the podcast and all that stuff, and or the company and the message and all that stuff. And my mom said something like along the lines of, you know, sometimes we want to just kind of just identify as just our culture. And I was like, no, mom, we're like, we get it, right? You know, we're all individual, right? Individual cultures, unique culture, like the Samoans are Samoan, Hawaiians are Hawaiians, and so forth. But at the same time, appreciating our own culture, we still have to recognize that we're a part of a bigger culture too. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like we could,
Yeah.
it's like for like a small example, like with me, right? I'm gonna do everything in my power, my will. Like I live for my family, and then from my family, the next people that I care about is, I guess, in a way, a bigger family. You know what I mean? Like extended family, and then the next circle is the friends or close friends, or in the Hawaii culture, Hanai. You know how Hanai family, right? Like I see it like that, right? My family is my Samoan culture. The next family is the extended family, like the all the Hawaiian people, all the Tongan people, all the Fijian people. You know what I mean? And then the next from there is all of our other brothers and sisters that are human. You know what I mean? Just humans in general. Like that's how I see it. You know. Um, but yeah, before we move on to into like all the sports stuff, Claude, do you have any other questions about Fiji or the Fijian culture for Va? Anything that
Mm,
there's a
I don't know. I'm just,
yeah.
I'm just like, I mean, I want to go one day. So like, I mean, like I really
Yes.
do. Like I want to experience all of it. Like not just Fiji, but like all of it. Like maybe we can
Yeah.
go together one day. That would be amazing.
Yes. Please come to Fiji. It's funny because every time I go to Fiji, and I try to go twice a year, but like as we're descending into Fiji, I know I always get like a little emotional. I wasn't born in Fiji, but when I am in Fiji, I just feel so connected. Um, I feel like I feel even more connected to my family when I am in Fiji and just being home. Um, so yeah, every time that plane descends into Fiji, I always get like a little choked up. I make sure no one sees me getting teary eyed. But
No,
that's like every time, every time.
love that. Love that. Like, and it should be like it's a part of us that, especially those of us that didn't, weren't born there, weren't necessarily raised there. Like I feel the same way when I go to the islands. Like it's like a spiritual like transition, right?
Yeah.
Like at least that's what it is for me. It's like a spiritual transition when I go home, because that it feels like home.
Exactly.
I think it's because like that's our roots, you know? We're going back to where our roots are.
Yep.
So
and I know I bring him up a lot, but that's exactly what The Rock says all the time. He talks about the he likes, you know, this is his favorite word, the mana, right? You feel the power, the emotion, like everything, the essence of the culture, everything, the bread, like, and he always says mana because that's that feeling that you guys both were talking about. That's exactly what he's talking about.
Yeah.
So it's crazy, like to hear or listen to you guys like not have a lot of words or not try to find the right words for it, right?
Like, I mean, I was getting emotional just talking about it, you know? Like it's just one of those things where like when you live on the island, you were born there, you were raised there. I feel like not all the time is it predominant how much of an impact it makes on you until you might move away for school and then you come back and you're like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, for
you
sure.
know, whereas it's a whole different experience for some of us that didn't get to be there most of their life.
You know, it kind of sucks. It kind of sucks with those who were raised in a not in their country, or we want to say in America. Let's just say example in America, and there is a lot of people or a lot of islanders that was born and raised in California, Utah, whatever, right? There's that thing that you guys are talking about where you guys was raised in a culture still away from the island, but there is a lot of people that was raised away from the island but also not raised in the actual culture.
Yeah.
So that, and it kind of sucks, right? Like it's really up to us or the parents, right, to instill the culture as they're raising their kids, right? And I don't want to say it's necessarily a mandatory thing to do. It's just one of those things that our I guess I always say pride. That's our pride. Like that's our culture. So why not continue the tradition teaching it, right?
Yeah. And it's like if you weren't taught that growing up, it's like, you know, those traditions, that culture, it would then end with you if you're not continuing it or if you're like trying to learn about it, you know. I think it's, if you weren't born in the islands, that's okay, but you should still make the strides to know about your history, your culture, because again, you know, that is your roots.
Right.
And it's like if you don't do that, then it ends with you.
But what I mean, like what I was saying, right? Well, it's not necessarily their fault, right? Like say they weren't introduced to the culture. You know, they're little kids. They're not going to know if the parents don't teach them, right?
Yeah.
Like how do they go about that, right? Like later on they find out, like let's say at our age now, they find out like, oh yeah, I always thought that I was just, I don't know, African American or something, right? Because I just didn't know my culture, but now I know I'm Fijian. Like, what do they do now? You know what I mean?
I don't think it's ever too late. It's never too late to like start learning.
It's hard, right?
Where do you? I think to start, like maybe even just try going there. Like, you know, if you find out you're, you know, so and so, like you're Fijian or Tongan Samoa, like okay, then make it your next mission to like go there. Because that's one thing too with us people, like you know, we're always just gonna engage in conversation with folks, especially if we know they're not from there.
Yeah.
So you never know. What if you go and visit, you go to a market and you get to talking with someone, and then it comes to find out, oh my gosh, you're my neighbor's second cousin's nephew, you know?
Yeah.
So I think, it doesn't hurt to then, after you find out, to just go and visit that place and then just see where that journey takes you. because I think, you know, I don't know if they have it in like Samoa, but I know in Fiji, it's oh my gosh, I forgot like the actual name. I only know the acronym for it. But in the VKB, it's in Fiji, and it's basically, it just shows you like your connection, like in your family, if you're registered in the VKB. And like, you know, if the person was Fijian and like they did know like at least like the island or their last names, you know, they could at least start with the VKB to look more into like, you know, who they're related to and stuff.
So it's kind of like a 23andMe type of thing then.
Kinda. I know like you do have to be like registered in it. So like my brother and I, we were born here in the States, but my dad registered us in the VKB. But I think it's like, it's automatic if you're in Fiji and both your parents are in the VKB. Then, you know, you're just automatically added in. But yeah, it's, I would like to think of it as that. That's basically like, because it's going to show you like who you're related to. And I think it also shows something like land wise as well, like what you would be entitled to in your village or something like that. I could be totally wrong. If I am wrong, please don't come for me. Don't come for me, educate me.
Right. So I know earlier we mentioned I mentioned about you being an athlete. You know, you obviously played sports in college. Well, throughout your life, really. Let's kind of talk about that for a little bit. Because I know it is kind of it's a pretty big subject. You know, a lot of the islanders in general, right? They look to sports to, I guess, in the, well, lack of better words, to make it. You know what I mean? But yeah, just a little bit about you, like as a Pacific Islander athlete. Like, can you share some of the highs and the lows that you've experienced throughout your athletic journey, whether through high school, college, and then how your cultural background, like being Fijian, has influenced your approach to sports and competition?
Yeah. So like all throughout high school, I played, you know, basketball, volleyball, and track. But basketball is what I did throughout college. So I went the JUCO route. So that's just where you go to like a 2-year college. So I went to a JUCO here in California. And I knew if I wanted to like graduate from a university with like, you know, my degree and stuff, like I would have to get a scholarship in basketball. You know, I come from humble beginnings, and growing up, it was just my mom who raised my brother and I. So I knew, you know, that was kind of out of the question of paying for school. So throughout JUCO, like, you know, I worked hard because I knew I wanted a scholarship to play on, full ride, all that good stuff. So that was like my drive throughout junior college. And that, I think that's just the drive all throughout athletes who go to junior college first. Everyone wants to make, you know, go D1 and get their scholarship. So during my time at my JUCO, some of you know, my most proudest moments throughout my career happened there. So I currently hold like 3 records at my junior college. And I was super proud of that because it was just, to me, it felt like it was a testament to like my hard work that I put in the gym, and just knowing that I was going to be leaving that place with that mark. That was something that was something that I would rate really high in my career. And it's funny because at the same time, that was also like where the lows came in. So my sophomore year, I had a poster of like 10 schools that I wanted to go to or like transfer to, you know, get a scholarship and stuff. That was like my goal sheet, I guess you could say. And I had that over my bed, and, you know, that was just something I was always working towards. And then my birthday, I get an offer from one of the schools that's on this list. I'm juiced. I'm like, oh my gosh, like this year just keeps getting better and better. So super excited. And then Christmas Day, I think it was the day after Christmas, actually. The day after Christmas, I then verbally commit to this school. And this was a D1 school. And it was also just, again, a school that was on the list. So again, I'm over the moon. I'm so happy. And then I had like a string of maybe like 3 bad games. And then I get a call from the coach, and he's like, you know what? We're going to see how you finish the season. And so we're going to pull the offer off the table. So then I'm just like, wait, what? But I'm like, wait, what? And then, he said, we're going to see how you finish the season. So I was still hopeful, but I think there was only like 4 games left in the season. I was like, okay, I got to like really bounce back with these 4 games. So then as I'm continuing on about the season, my recruitment opens back up, but, I'm kind of hesitant about even talking to schools because I'm still thinking like, the school that I was just committed to, they're going to call me back.
Right.
And that's where I also saw like college sports, all that stuff. It is a business through and through. That's when I first saw it for myself. I always heard people talking about it, like
Right.
it's a business. But right then and there, I was like, dang, like they were not playing. So anyways, I had to be real with myself, and I was like, okay, like, let me start talking to these other schools. I went on like a visit, to the school in Oklahoma. I didn't like it. And, I was just hoping like, dang, I really hope they call me back. They didn't. So I ended up committing to a school that I didn't even take a visit to in South Carolina. So this is like my first time being away from family, being on on my own,
Right.
I guess you can say. And then I moved to South Carolina, and it's one thing when like you're the man on campus, right? You're scoring like 20, 30 points a game. And then boom, you transfer to another school, and you can't even buy time to get in the game. And it's humbling, and it's also like an ego check, and it also just messes with your mental so much. So one of the lowest moments of my career was, going through that with the school where they took my offer back, and then moving across country, not having my family, and then just going through that whole transition of just like, okay, now I'm not getting as much playing time. I'm not really messing with this coach I have. And on top of that, I don't even have any family here. On top of that, I'm the only Islander here, so I can't even connect with like, any other Islanders.
That's the thing with that, right? Like when we're so tight knit, right? We're so family oriented that it's kind of depleting when you're in a foreign place where it's just you, right?
Yeah.
And I think a lot of Islanders, no matter which island they come from, they experience that loneliness, right?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like every person that I've known that played college sports goes through that at some point.
Yeah.
Until they find other Islanders, they're like, whoa, and it's not even of the same island. It just has it's just Polynesian or Melanesian or Micronesian. You're like, hey, where you from? You know what I mean? Like then you're boosted back up. Like that's all you could tell, right? And I'm sure by your reaction, like was it there or was it Virginia State where you kind of, I don't know, did you make any other Islander friends out there in college?
So it's crazy because I met a Tongan out in Virginia, and it was so funny because I'd tell people like, this is my cousin, but then like that really is my cousin even to this day. Like I refer to him as my cousin, but like when I did transfer, just having that, like just one other islander there with me, it just like changed the whole like trajectory of my senior year. Just knowing like I can call him up and be like, hey, like, you know, what are you doing or whatever. You know, he'd come and visit me. There was one time we went and mixed, we had grog and stuff. Like his cousin, whose wife was from East Palo Alto, and I was born in East Palo Alto, but so, you know, that's just like a connection thing. But yeah, it's one thing when you're alone on an island, but sometimes you just need like one other person to relate to, connect to on that level, and that'll just change everything for you. And that's, you know, that's what happened to me my senior year. Now in Virginia, it's like a big Air Force military bases out there. So, you know, once I made the move, my mom was like, oh, wait, you know, one of my schoolmates' daughters lives out in Virginia. So, you know, I had like my Tongan friend, and then I had my mom's classmate's daughter out there. So like every other weekend I'd go and visit her. And then, you know, I found out I had another aunt out there. So it just changed everything. I really do believe like if I didn't meet them, or if I didn't know that they were out there, I probably would have had like a repeat of my junior year at Virginia State.
I feel that. I do, you know, we are running short on time, but I do want to get through some of these questions because it's pretty important. And before Kaleo asked her question, I actually want to ask this question before that one. Talking about, you know, Pacific Islanders going through that process of going to college, going to school. And, you know, as much as our parents or, you know, our generations before us want to tell us that go to school, get a degree and all that stuff, we are thinking like, I'm going to school because I know I'm going to make it to the NFL, and this is the next step to the NFL or to the NBA or WNBA or whatever professional sports, right? And just having that set mindset because of previous examples set before us, right? Of other Islanders making it, right? And so just having that mindset of this is the only way, you know, I'm going to go to college so I can make it to the NFL, basically, right? Yeah. And the shitty thing about, you know, excuse my French, the crappy thing about that is I think is NBA you can go straight from high school. NFL you can get drafted early, a year early, and then kids start to get on that trend of trying to get in there as fast as they can, and they don't get a degree or whatever it is, right? So my question is, you know, with many young athletes in the Pacific Islands, they face a lot of pressure to excel, you know, in sports, and you know, like what I said, being that it's the only pathway to success, right? How do you think we can better support and educate our young athletes about the importance of having an alternative plan or opportunity, especially considering the slim chances of actually making it?
Yeah, I think it's important for like those who are in like different career paths. I think it's important to like, you know, do outreach to the youth and just like expose them to these different careers, these different industries that we're not exposed to like growing up. And just, you know, letting them know like, hey, like this exists. And then I think it's also to like mentors, those who are mentoring, you know, those young athletes who, you know, they know they're going to go to college stuff, you know, just, you know, support them in their athletic journey, but then just also, you know, let them know like whatever degree they choose or, you know, throughout their whole athletic career, you know, make those connections for when, you know, you are done with sports, you can reach back out to your connections, you know, when sports is done and, you know, you're ready to enter the workforce. The one thing with sports is like, you know, it's a privilege. Playing sports is a privilege. You can have your whole career taken away from you literally like in warm-ups of a game or even at like like one snap of, you know. So I think it's just also just try to remain humble and remember that like, hey, this game can be taken from you at any given moment. So what's your plan for when that does happen?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's, just have those conversations with those athletes young, especially like early on in their recruiting, because what school they go to, it's also gonna it'll influence, their life and career when sports is done.
Honestly,
Yeah.
the students the student athletes, right? The kids, they don't understand that, like you mentioned earlier, college sports is a business.
Yeah,
They really don't understand that, because of, like, they got good coaches that really buy into the players, and it sucks because coaches do care, right? But the organization or the school, do they care? Probably not. You know what I mean?
yeah.
They're just gonna find the next person, and that's what a lot of the athletes, I believe, because I was in that same situation. I didn't realize that. I thought this was the only way. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think when you're getting recruited too, just, look out for the little things. Like, look out for your coach asking you if what are your plans after sports? Little things like that. That'll just also let you know about their character and if they, do care about what happens to you outside of sports. Just, sometimes you get lost at the buffet.
Right.
Someone's
Right.
telling you
Yeah.
all these good things. But at the same time, you're racking up the bill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that how you was too in college, Kaleo? Like, kind of having that, or going to college, have that mindset of, like, or were you one of the Islanders that was like, I'm gonna make it? This is how I gotta, I gotta play sports.
Yeah, I was very determined. As far as softball and volleyball goes. Yeah, that was my life. I breathed that. Sports all the time. Sports were a big thing in my family. Big thing. So it was, you're gonna do this, you're gonna wake up, you're gonna train, you're gonna, all those things. And, and then when it was swept out from underneath me, it wrecked me and I didn't know what I was gonna do.
Mm-hmm.
But I figured it out, and, I went with my plan B, I guess you could call it. But, like, and I realized that, I can still love those things that I used to do, obviously not to the extent that I could now because I literally got injured. But yeah, no, it was definitely like that for me growing up, and it was like that for my brothers and my other sisters and stuff. Well, not sisters. One of my sisters. The other one was a very, very big band geek, so she was not into sports at all.
There's always the, what do they call it? The black sheep in the family. All the kids play sports except for one.
Exactly. I mean, she did track and field and stuff, but
they weren't really into it,
Right, exactly.
Like,
only
the
throwing
just because mom and dad, I don't want them to be on my ass.
Exactly, that's exactly what it was.
I literally had a question for you, Kaleo, but I got lost in the sauce. So
well, like, I feel like female athletes in general, like, especially from Pacific cultures, were overlooked compared to, like, male athletes, right? Like, how have things changed for women in sports today, do you think?
I can only speak to basketball, just being that, that is something like I still follow. But the involvement of women's basketball, especially in college, it's crazy. It's getting more popular. These athletes are getting more talented. And then, when things like this happens, you're going to have more eyes watching college basketball. So, two names come to mind from the Pacifica community. Like, you have Alyssa Peely. She plays for Utah Utes, and she's going crazy.
She's going crazy.
She's going crazy. I really hope, well, I don't know if she's gotten it yet, but I really hope she gets her 40 piece. I know she's like constantly getting like 30 ball games.
Yep.
And then Tahina Pau Pau.
Oh, yep.
She plays for University of South Carolina. Right now they're the #1 ranked team. So, being that their sport is already growing and they're excelling at the sport. I think it's also too, like, they're becoming role models for like the younger generation of, you know, island hoopers. They're looking at these girls going crazy, and you know, they're like, dang, like, you know, I want to play basketball now too.
Right. And it's not. I think it's a good thing because majority of it, right? You know, social media is a big thing. I think that's kind of what the booster was for the women's basketball right now, because even before we, you know, met you, I've been seeing so much basketball stuff on these female Islanders playing basketball at different colleges, and maybe not as big as those two names that you brought up, but other Islanders too. And I'm like, dang, it's pretty blowing up. But I think it's changed a lot, like you said, because before I would only see the males. You know what I mean? I would only see mainly football or mainly rugby, and a lot of it was the males. Like even the females rugby too is kind of like getting out there, like big.
Yeah.
You know. So it's something that like we gotta, you know, really embrace it, right? Embrace and appreciate that it's happening, and maybe try to do our best to put more of a spotlight on, you know, everybody instead of it doesn't help that America is the biggest sport is football, so that's kind of gonna overshadow a lot of things, right?
Exactly.
Can I just bring up that, Kaleo, I remember I did I show you, or remember I told you that I thought she was like 6'2" or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's not.
When you told me that, I was like, you do? You really? I was like, thank you. I took it as a compliment. No, I'm 5'10".
Hey, you're still taller than me.
Dude, so going back to that question, right? How, like, if you was to do something, what would you do to kind of put more of a spotlight on for our female athletes, especially in the Pacific Islander culture?
Tough question.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would think like you know, when we have like the South Pacific Games, you know, basketball is one of those sports. So I think you know, if they came back and played for their countries, you know, one, it would just I don't know, I feel like it would just everyone would tune in, you know, from the islands. You know, if they hear like, you know, Elisa Peely's coming back playing for Samoa, and you know, all these other like athletes here in the States, it'll be, you know, something that's, I feel like it'd bring a lot of hype to it, and then you would see like more people tuning in, because there's going to be that excitement, that you have, like, you know, these basically like these college basketball superstars coming back home. They're playing for their country's team, and one thing about the South Pacific Games, you know, those games are held in the South Pacific. So it's like, you get to see this live. You get to see this in your backyard in a sense. And then, you know, being that the hype is growing, you know, you're going to have a whole bunch of media coverage on that. And then, you know, what's that saying? Like, any media is good media. So
bad press is still press.
Bad press is still good press, or something like that. But then, you know, that just goes back into like a whole circle of like, you know, going back home, and like, you know, doing your due diligence within like your community with your family and stuff like that. I think it'd be dope if, you know, they would hold some sort of, not even just, you know, those two particularly, just like you know, Pacific Islander athletes in general, you know, go back home to the islands, hold some sort of like, you know, basketball camp or sports camp or whatever, you know, have it free to the public. Because then you're also just like bringing the community together when you do stuff like that. And then you're also just like, you know, showcasing like your sport, but then also your involvement in the sport.
Yeah.
I think what a lot of people don't understand is that about social media. Social media, there's a lot of negatives to it, but it's all how we make it, right? So why not use this big platform in social media in general of putting on more for any of our Pacific Islander athletes or just Pacific Islanders in general in whatever career field, right?
Yeah.
You know, you take advantage of this wide range of a net that social media can cast.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think that's just a small way for the collective to, you know, to put in their part of showcasing this, you know, athlete in Lisi or another person, right? Or another Islander person, just like, oh, this person is doing this on somewhere else, wherever they're doing it. And then somebody in Samoa or Fiji or wherever in Micronesia will share it from there. And then everybody keeps sharing it, right? You use social media to keep spreading what that person is doing. I think that's the easiest way that everybody can get involved in, right?
Yeah. I know that's something I do. Like any Islander that, you know, is posted on ESPN. I know ESPN does it sometimes in May.
Yeah.
They'll post like, you know, Pacific Islander athletes. Yeah, I always try to repost whatever I see. Sometimes I'll tell people they're my cousin.
Right.
And if they're like, how are you related to them? I'll just be like,
don't worry.
The ocean connects us. I always tell them like the ocean connects us. Like that's my ocean cousin.
There you go. That's crazy. That's crazy. Yeah, I think we only have time for one last question, and it doesn't have to be a long answer. I think Kaleo, you got the last question. Just about our company's message.
Okay, I was like, there's two at the end here. Which one are you wanting me to do? Because I see them both.
Yeah.
No, so we always like to see what people are, you know, thinking as far as what our message is and stuff like that. So what are your personal thoughts on Pacific Ave Company's message about uniting our Pacific people from Polynesia, Melanesia, and Micronesia?
Yeah, I think it's great. I think it's beautiful. It's funny because, you know, you don't see a lot of spaces where its goal is to, you know, unite all three. You know, some social media channels, you know, it only highlights one or like one's showcase more than the others. But I love how this platform tries to, you know, shed light on all three equally. And I think that's important too, because when you do that, you're also just educating others on, like, you know, our other, you know, Nesian brothers and sisters. So I think more spaces like this should exist, especially like, you know, out here in the States where, you know, Pacific Islanders are the minority within the minority. So, you know, when we have spaces like this, we should definitely take advantage of them and, you know, embrace them. You know, that's, you know, also part of the reason why I reached out to y'all, because of, you know, the travel group. That was like one of the things I had in mind. You know, I wanted to bring in, you know, Pacific Islanders all together in one space. So, you know, I was really aligned with like the goals you guys have. So I love it. Thank you for even having this space.
Absolutely. Starr and I have talked about this kind of stuff for a really long time. Starr, how long have we known each other now?
I don't know, a couple of years, I guess.
Two. I think we're going on 3, maybe.
Something like that.
Wow.
And it's funny, like we
met online.
Yeah, we met online. Not like you guys
not like that.
Yeah,
not like that. The gaming world.
Streaming. I was gonna say streaming.
It's kind of like how you said with your Tongan friend that you met. Like me and Kaleo, I'm Samoan, she's Hawaiian, and we just called each other cousins.
Yeah. Y'all are cousins, ocean cousins.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I really thought y'all knew each other like from toddler days. So this is news to me.
We act like we do.
Yeah. Apparently I'm the little brother that just does everything wrong.
Yeah.
No. No, but yeah.
I love that we are able to bring in different Islanders and stuff like that. Like I was so excited when Starr told me about you. I was like, no way. Like I know absolutely nothing. Like nothing. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
No, for real. It's that was one of the goals, right, for the podcast, because I kept telling people when I started this company, what was the purpose, right? Is to try to unite our peoples and then educate the non-islanders. And I have this whole mantra thing of the clothing part of it is wear the culture, right?
Mhm.
And the podcast is learn the culture from people that come on, the guests that we come on. Is yeah, it's going to be different walks of life, but people are also going to understand that they see the differences, in each, or the uniqueness in each island, but they're going to realize that it's very similar across the board.
Every single guest, has said something that has been almost exactly identical as far as their
Really?
culture and their family.
Your family, the upbringing, the experience that you feel, and the feeling
Yeah.
that you were feeling about the mana. Everybody has
Mhm.
expressed it in some kind of way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's real, and that's why I had that little awe moment, and I had to bring it up earlier. But yeah, in the podcast, you learn the culture from the people firsthand. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And then later on, when we get the food truck going, they can taste the culture. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And then when we get the studios going later, you could see the culture. I mean, other than
Yeah.
the podcast, obviously you see us, but see it as in the media or the music industry and all that stuff, right? And
Mhm.
hear whatever. So when you put all of that together, what is the last part of our line? Feel the culture. You
Feel the
put all of that
culture.
together, you feel it. You know what I mean? You feel that mana. So that's
Yeah.
the whole point, right? Oh, chicken skin, cuz.
I know. That's what that like whole thing.
So that, yeah, it's a lot of thought was put into it, because like you said, Va, there's not too many places or platforms, or people that are doing stuff like this that are trying to unite everybody.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, we're all the same, and I know Kaleo like to say that all the time. At the end of the day, we're still the same.
We
Literally.
are. Like we're all the same, but yet we're all so unique.
Right.
And we
Mhm.
want to honor that and cherish that and show that. But at the same time be like, we're not different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the core, we're not
Yeah.
different.
Look at
Yeah.
all three of us. We all look different, but we all look the same. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
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 Like we could get away with telling someone we're cousins.
Yeah.
They'd be like, "Oh yeah, y'all are for sure cousins."
It's crazy though. I should have lined it up to where it was lighter complexion to darker complexion. I'm just
Oh
kidding.
jeez.
I would have been in the middle. I would have been in the middle.
You would have been in the middle.
Honestly, speaking of that, I don't think I've ever met or even seen a very fair skinned Fijian. Are there any?
Oh, there's tons.
I,
Oh,
I,
for
didn't- I
sure.
haven't met every Fijian that I know and I've met. They're all like either they're brown like me, or a little bit darker, or even darker. You know what I mean?
Oh no, there's you'll see them a lot from Lao
Oh, okay.
because Lao was ruled under Tonga at one point. And it's funny because I have aunts, uncles, grandfathers, grandmas that look Tongan, like straight Tongan. They're very fair skinned. They're tall. They're like Tongan built.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's, I think you'll see them more like in the cities that have a lot of Fijians. But yeah, no, you're right. Fijians, they generally have darker skin tones. But when you go back to Fiji, you'll see like the whole like rainbow. You'll have like your light ones, your medium ones, and then like your dark skinned ones.
Before we start heading off, is there because a lot of people in the Samoan culture experience this of being called, like a plastic Samoan and all that stuff. Like, does that happen in the Fijian culture too? Like,
Oh yeah. Yeah. They're also called like plastics and stuff. Sorry, I interrupted your question. Was there like a follow-up question to that, or you just wanted to know?
I just wanted to know, like, if you guys go to the same thing that, or even even Hawaiians too. They don't call them locals. They just call them you Hawaiian.
Yeah, there's plastic, but then I've also heard the term susumandrai. I've actually been called that before. But I try to have my sister explain it to me once, and I didn't really like get it, but I did. It's so susumandrai, I guess, like in like the cities, like they have bread, whereas in the village they don't normally eat bread or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So like with their tea, those who like live in the city and stuff have their bread, and then those who live in the village don't normally drink their tea with bread. Something like that. I could be totally wrong, but I know susumandrai is like equivalent to like the plastic. Yeah.
We gotta stop doing that. Like,
right?
I mean, there's a point where you can joke and all that stuff, but like some people mean that shit. Some people mean it. Like, I'm like, bro, really?
I think it's crazy because if someone's genuinely trying to learn their language, their culture, you should be, encouraging that. You should be, an ally to them, I guess you can say, in like their journey of trying to, discover their culture and learn all this stuff instead of just bringing them down. Because it's like, if you constantly saying someone's plastic, they're just going to eventually get tired of you saying it, and they're going to like not even want to learn about, the language or the culture. They're just going to, they're gonna be like, okay,
why try?
Yeah,
exactly.
I'm just going to be felt like an outcast. Yeah, I get that all.
Yeah.
Well.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, same. Same.
Yeah, no, I hate that happens.
It goes against how we was raised, right? We always talk about family and all that stuff, right? Okay, treat everybody like family then. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, maybe not all the time like family, because sometimes family, we bicker, fight, and then we disagree about it, and we've punch fight, and so it's
not wrong.
Yeah, but treat everybody like family. Yeah.
Yeah.
I do wanna go on for more, but we are short on time. We're negative in time. We're an hour and a half in, so just real quick, one must go. Okay, before we end, and this is the basketball version for the basketball player. And I kind of already know which one that you're not going to get rid of because you already said it earlier. And this time there's only 3 choices. Actually, you know what? We're going to put 4 choices in there. 4 choices.
Okay.
Like we usually do. So one must go basketball edition. Michael Jordan. LeBron James. Kobe Bryant. Steph Curry.
Steph Curry.
Really?
Sorry.
This is the quickest answer
right
I have
away.
ever heard in One Must Go. I was woo.
I'm sorry, Steph. I know.
He's the highest scorer in NBA history.
I thought LeBron was.
No, yeah, you're right. But he has a lot of records.
Yeah, no, he does have a lot of records. Yeah.
I think LeBron is. Oh yeah.
I feel like you're looking it up right now. Oh yeah, he's looking at it.
Wait. Steph has the most in something.
Like maybe I think it's 3s. I think he passed Reggie Miller.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, he's a great player. But Michael Jordan, LeBron James, Kobe? Come on.
Yeah,
no hesitation. She said it.
Okay. So I added Steph in there because I am putting me personally. I put Steph in that category of those 3.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So I'm taking Steph out. We're gonna redo this question. One must go. Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan, LeBron James.
I'm gonna say Michael Jordan.
Wow.
Only because like I didn't grow up in that, like watching him at his prime.
Oh, look,
I know,
talking all business like okay, sis, okay.
But you say, right? You said earlier, right, that Kobe Bryant is your hero, right? And what did Kobe Bryant admit on cameras on his interviews? He said he learned everything from Michael Jordan.
And then I swear there was another interview. Michael Jordan, he was asked like who was like the toughest to guard or something like that. Something like that. Pretty sure he said Kobe. I remember seeing something like that because Michael Jordan had said something how like Kobe does all his moves.
Exactly.
But how you get scored on with your own move?
I mean, just in general, right? Your worst enemy is yourself. He was basically playing himself.
But it's like if you know that's your move, you should know how to guard it.
But you know as that person is doing it, they know that they're gonna know. So it's always gonna be a chess match back and forth because they know each other's moves at the same time. So you know what I mean? So they're always trying to do something different. Wow.
So it's whoever can stay ahead of what you already know their moves are going to be.
Exactly.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure, you know these sports analysts, they always have like some crazy article out. I'm pretty sure we can look up between the matchups of Kobe and Michael Jordan who had the most points between the two during their matchups. I don't know if that article exists. If it doesn't, it should.
Yeah. There's so much
we could look into that.
There's so much avenues for any sport, right? Especially team sports, because it's hard to say who's the best and who's this and who's that, because even though they'll play one-on-one, I don't think that's a good measurement to see because people have bad days. People might be able to overcome a certain trick or do something that the other person wasn't expecting or whatever it is, right? Any given day, any given Sunday, it's, something might happen, right? Especially in a team sport, right? So now in a team sport, you judge how the team did, what the team did, what they contributed to the team and all that. You know what I'm saying? So that's why it's like, hard.
So in a team setting, I'm thinking like one-on-one.
Right.
Who I'm going with. In a team setting.
You're getting rid of LeBron.
No, I think I'm gonna.
Kobe.
No, I'm still rocking with Kobe. Well, there was that whole documentary that came out, that MJ did with like the Bulls.
Championship
run back in the 90s. And, I didn't know him and Scotty had beef like that.
Yeah.
I guess in a team setting, you also there would be a lot of things I put into play, like what kind of teammate were you to your team off the court? Like, are you the teammate that your teammates would want to hang out with?
Right.
When you're outside the gym.
Yeah.
Because that's also just a testament to like the leadership you have within your team.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of stuff goes on the floor, who can do, have the most points or whatever, but it also goes back into the locker room. Like, are you like a leader off the court as well? Looking out for your teammates.
Right.
It goes, I don't know. It goes beyond basketball in a team setting. Yeah.
I'm glad you said that, because specifically with Pacific Islanders, regardless if you're an outspoken person or a shy person, an introvert, right? You just have that leadership vibe come off of you as an Islander in any sport. And I don't know if you recognize that or Kaleo, you recognize that. It's that, I think it's that mana that we talked about. Like either it doesn't have to, like I say, it doesn't have to be verbally, but through your actions of how you hold yourself, as an Islander in that sport. It's leadership-like qualities, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I could see that.
You know what I'm saying?
I was also going to say, I think it's also too with Islanders are able to recognize the situation where, like, if they do need to step in, they'll step in. But if they just need to take a couple steps back and just let everyone do their own thing, like, they'll let that let people do that as well. But even just being able to do that, that's also just like a trait of a leader.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Mhm.
But yeah, that is the time, ladies and gentlemen. As I close this show out, Va, thank you again for coming on. I know
Yes.
there's still a lot to learn about Fiji, the Fijian cultures, we could talk a whole episode of just one part of Fiji. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot to talk about. I know we didn't talk too much about your travel group thingy that you started, Solo Pacifica. So I'm gonna give that, give that little spotlight right now. If you guys are into travel, you're a Pacific Islander, you guys are looking into either getting started or you've been traveling on your own for a while already, go on Facebook. What is it called? Solo Pacifica, right?
Yes, and that's Pacifica is PASIKA.
PASIFIKA.
Spelled it right?
Yeah.
Yeah, FI.
So the link is gonna be down below. If you guys want to join the Facebook group, go ahead and join it. A lot of people already. I'm in it, and I see so much people all around the world. Like, it's pretty cool, a cool experience, and because it's different as an islander experiencing, a different country or just the world in general, right? So check that out for her. Follow her, and also follow her socials and everything. Thank you guys again for watching. Thank you guys for listening. YouTube, subscribe, all that shebang. Wherever you listen to your podcast, go ahead and follow, like, and subscribe, and rate the show and everything. Go check out our sponsor, Oko Ohana.
All the things.
All good things, yes. And then just another reminder that Pacific Ave Company's website is live in action. Check out their website, pacificavco.com. We have a new merch drop at March 1st, so stay tuned for all of that.
Excited.
Yeah, I'm going to show you the sample I already made last night. So, but it's my size. It's my size.
I don't care. I still want to see.
It's always fun. I always
teases
find it,
me.
Yeah,
teases.
I always find it funny when people ask, like, "Oh, what size is your shoe?" My size.
My size.
My size. But yeah, that is the end of the show, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and we'll catch you guys on the next one. Sounds Gucci? Gucci. Va, thank you again. Hope you. Oh, Kaleo, I'm over here like closing it. Kaleo, take us out.
Oh my gosh, he almost forgot. You gotta remember to be uniquely you. It's the best thing that you could ever do. I'm proud of you for it. Remember to love yourself and tell those that you love them. Life is way too short.
Life is way too short. That's why I always tell people, treat others the way that you want to be treated, because if so, this world will be a better place. Va, do you have a quote or saying or whatever you want to leave the crowd with?
Yeah, YOLO. You only live once. Drake said it best, but no, in all honesty, yeah, you only live once, so make this life your best one.
You mentioned Drake, and yeah, we're not going to get into that. So, all right, ladies and gentlemen, we will catch you guys on the next one. Yes, sir.